Welcome everybody to the Clean Finish Wrestling podcast. I'm your host Nathan Sridharan. We've had an action-packed week of wrestling and SmackDown, very good Backlash, Monday Night Raw. So much to unpack this week. There's been a lot going on. I feel like we're kind of getting back to positive PLEs, thank God for that. I feel pretty doomed with this positive podcast over the last few weeks we've had, but we seem to be going back on track at the minute. As I said, Backlash was very fun, and we've got some good SmackDown and Raws to kind of combat in those. So without further ado, let's talk about it. So before we get to Backlash, we had SmackDown. It's the kind of go-home show to back to another PLE. Coming into Backlash, there was a level of excitement, but the show itself, and I mentioned in previous episodes, had just been not the best consistently. Wasn't really sure where we're going. That being said, there were some good matches kind of leading up to Backlash, so we'll kick off with SmackDown. SmackDown starts quite strong. Jacob comes out, kind of explaining once again why he needs to be Roman. It's kind of, there's a bit of rinse and repeat here, but like it's what's needed. It's just that initial build. We're just getting started with the story. So Jacob's coming and saying those things. Uso's trying to come out, and they're trying to reason with him again, but Jacob like very quickly puts them in their place, and says if you get in my way, if you interfere, and if you interfere in the match with Roman, interfere in any of his business again, he's gonna have to take them out. I'm really liking this direction of Jacob because it's not like wishy-washy. This is who I am. I'm this unhinged person that everyone keeps saying I am, that I have been. He's proving them right, but in a way that is him not taking crap, which I just think is brilliant for his character. It's really setting him apart from the bloodline stuff, which, as I said before, I think I'm already getting bloodline fatigue already. But yeah, I'm really excited to see the stuff with Jacob. Following from this promo, the first thing we had was Tiffy versus Kiana. For me, the stories around Kiana and Julia's kind of continued tension there. The match itself was really good. Tiffy's been putting on some good matches. I still think she needs a character. I don't think I'm the Barbie girl character is, well, it's not working. She's got something there, but this needs more depth for me anyway. She's been putting on great matches. So like her, as I was skeptical about her being the champion, purely just because it felt a bit shoehorned in. But in terms of the matches, the match with Kiana was brilliant. I do worry that Kiana's going to overshadow Julia a bit. I don't know if Julia would get the pop if she turned on Kiana or how that would work, but I can see that coming with that tension building. But no, Tiffy's, if her run is like this, she'll have a brilliant run. She can go, she can compete. She can put in the work we've seen before. So hopefully we get that from her. Following from that match, we had Priest versus Tala. And we had some promos with Truth back, like he's actually being serious. I like that with Truth. Like he's obviously that comedy clown kind of person in the business, but the mix between serious and comedy works better, I find, because it can't just be silly and ridiculous all the time. There needs to be an element of stakes and things. So Priest is kind of saying to him like, it's a serious thing, don't come out, you'll get hurt. So they got taken out the week prior. Again, Priest, like I don't know why people had a problem with Priest. I think he's brilliant. I think he's been great in NXT. I really enjoyed his title run, the way they played it, and he showed out in this match. Like he's usually the big man, but he was up against a much bigger man, and he performed as such. He really took it to Tala. I think Tala held his own as well. Again, one of the other stories in this is Tama Tonga coming back. We had all the stuff with the MFTs where JC Mateo and Tonga Loa were fired or whatever. Well, they got released. Tama Tonga coming back was nice. I thought there was the beef had kind of just been forgotten about, but they kind of revisited it. It seemed like it disappeared, but they've kind of come back to it again. And then at the end of the match, Truth comes out to save Priest, and then I'm guessing he must be injured for real because he didn't get beaten up or anything. But Royce Keith comes out, and I know there's that thing with him and Solo. So just adding, which I love the adding keys to a story. They keep doing a lot of the backstage things with him and the stuff about his life and everything else. Put him in an actual story with Solo, I think is going to work really well. Like a lot of big men, a lot of opportunity to show off power, I think will work really well. So we get a backstage segment between Gunther, Nick Aldis, and Paul Heyman. So it seems like that the favour all along was of Paul Heyman getting Gunther on SmackDown. It's interesting. I still don't know if the whole thing was supposed to be around Brock, and there's been speculation that Brock called an audible. I can't imagine on a billion-dollar company and on a WrestleMania that he would just do something like that. The way all the shots were done anyway, I don't know. And Heyman even is kind of saying, "Yeah, I'm not that good of an actor." I don't know, but like, it's an interesting favor to get. Like, why does Heyman have Paul to go to pull him smack? I don't know. It's just a weird one. However, I think it's a good change of pace for Gunter and going straight for Cody. So, he's about to sign, and Cody calls him out. They're setting up a match for a Clash in Italy, which I think will be an interesting split between how fans receive Gunter versus Cody. Like, tricky to see because the European fans love Cody, but then Gunter's not quite hometown boy, but as close as you can get in Italy. So that'll be an interesting battle. And then the two go at it, and it was nice to see Cody get an upper hand. Cody is far more serious at this point, which again I love. He's kind of come out of a lot of matches, the match with Orton, and now it's going to like there's that serious edge to him, where he's not so cheesy and corny anymore. So that's it's always great to see Cody in that position. And I think their match, they had the Saudi Arabia match before. I think they'll show it again. They're both absolutely brilliant. Following that, we get a women's tag team kind of promo match coming up. Paige and Brie coming out and cementing their positions as tag team champs of the division. They're holding it down for the women. And then we get JC Jane and Fatal Influence calling their shot again, which I love. Big JC Jane fan. I think she's so good. Like Wade Barrett kind of cooing over Nia Jax was just hilarious as well. Like Wade is doing some of the best stuff ever. He's got such a good balance of that comedy announcing mixed with the serious when he needs to be. I just think he works so well. Then we had Lash and Nia took out Brie and Paige. Rhea comes out after the chaos. Just there was a lot happening, and then we had that. So there's a lot happening with the women's tag team, and I've said for a while the women's division across both rosters is really holding down the company at the minute. I think they're lifting them up. I mean, sorry, they're really cementing the stance on storytelling, on wrestling, on mic work, athleticism, everything. They're so diverse compared to what I think the men are doing right now. Case in point, that whole thing, you had a lot of the women that were involved, JCJ, Nia Jax, Brie Page. So the tag division is hot, and then within that, Rhea Ripley comes out, has that standoff with Lash. Like, there's so much opportunity for them and so much going on. All the interwoven stuff, I think, is just working brilliantly at the minute. Leading on from that, we had Rhea, Charlotte, and Alexa versus Fatal Influence. So again, more women competing. Very competitive match, very smooth. Was all kind of back and forth for a while. And then with the help of returning Jade Cargill, another powerhouse of a woman coming in, who attacked Rhea, JC Jane picks up another huge win. Now, JC Jane is just getting win after win against high-level competitors. It's just they're positioning her so well, and I think she'll carry it. She's so talented. I think she'll definitely carry that. The sky's the limit for her with what she can do. She could be by herself. She can be with the team. She's got all the knowledge, she's got the look, she's got the expertise, got the skills to just run with the division. So I'm very looking forward to seeing what she can do. But yeah, seeing Jade come back with the baddies, like she turned her attention to Alexa. Charlotte was was about to kind of help, and then Meech and BFAB coming. So again, more women coming in, and I like how they keep teasing their Charlotte Jade thing. Like, we've yet to see them really go at it, and they keep kind of teasing that. And I'm really, whenever, and maybe it will come now because the fact that she keeps going after Alexa, that we'll get that Jade Charlotte thing, and I think that match will be like absolutely phenomenal. Just the look of it, the presence of it in itself will be out of this world. We had another interesting backstage segment with the Usos, and this kind of fits into me saying about how they've become the lapdogs again. We're back in that bloodline circle where Jey Uso seemingly forgotten that he was a world champion, and Jimmy just kind of, I've always got a special place in my heart for Jimmy. I think he's, out of the two brothers, I think he's got the more natural charisma, and I wish he would get a similar push that Jay did. But like, again, they're just the lapdogs again. they're getting in Key's face, telling him it's family business and stay out of it. It's like, why is all this necessary? Like, just go and be a tag team. You're one of the best tag teams in the world. Go and be a tag team and enjoy like putting on banger matches. The tag team division is so lacking on the men's side, and you've got the Usos who could be running it, and they're not. They're just doing this stuff with Roman, where seemingly all they do is tell people to stay out of their business, get beaten up, and then it's like a rinse and repeat. Like, it's just very odd. I don't know what they're doing with the Usos at the minute. But after that, it led to kind of Keys versus Tama. Another good match between the two. I think they've got a lot of good chemistry. They're both quite hard hitting. Keys kind of got the victory, and then Solo still kind of trying to recruit Keys, much to Tama's displeasure. Like, it's an interesting grab, but I'm liking where it's going to lead eventually, with Keys probably going up against all of the MFTs, the remaining ones anyway, and Tama and Solo perhaps splitting ways at some point. So the final segment of the night, which is very up in the air, and from what I thought was quite a good SmackDown, things are slowly improving in SmackDown, was the Gingerbread Man funeral. Now, all through the night, we had like a wake for him, and we had references of him in Gingerbread Man in WWE history, and like some of them were mildly amusing. I did see him, I got like a kind of half smile out of some of them, where they kind of embedded him in different moments in wrestling history and stuff. And I was like, okay. But then, and there was like this AI thing, this AI slop video package, which just looked awful, with Trick and Little Yachty. And I was just like, what is this? It's just, it's very much Vince 90s era booking. Like, it's just not good. Yeah, you can say it's for kids, and you might get some kids that like it, but like, it's so silly that it's just dumb. It doesn't make sense. It's a thing that's been shoehorned in. Trick called Sammy a gingerbread man once because he's ginger, and they've just gone mad with it. And it's not working for me at all. Like, Little Yachty being gingerbread man, like the Undertaker step, like that was quite cool. And then they attacked Sammy, and um, you know, it kind of ended there with Trick getting the save and everything else. But like, everything Sammy's saying is correct. Why is this in even his question? Why is this in the main event pit? Why is this closing the show of SmackDown? Like, I don't know if they're poking fun at themselves. I don't know what it is, but for me, it's just that's one of the biggest things that I wish they would get rid of, and I'm hoping it's now done. I hope to God it's now done. But that was the thing in SmackDown that kind of annoyed me the most, and you can see it leading to it. I just think it's sometimes they're silly. Danhausen being silly makes sense for his character and who he is, and I'll get to it later with Backlash. He embraces it in a different way that fits his character. With Sammy and Trick, they don't need it. They're both top level, top tier superstars that put on great matches and can entertain through wrestling. I don't think they need this level of silliness. Like, you can be silly, but to this level, it's just mad. But yeah, anyway, SmackDown overall is quite good. And then that leads us nicely into Backlash. So let's get straight into Backlash. Backlash started off with a flipping great match, like top match already. Braun and Seth kicking off the show. What a fantastic match this was. It was such a good way to kick off the show. What I loved straight away was Braun controlled the match. He controlled most of the match. The whole dynamic is this new young buck and this guy who's on his last legs and his body can't take it anymore. They're kind of playing that thing. It doesn't quite work to the level of, like, say, Ric Flair and that, because Seth's only about 40, in his early 40s. Like, I think he's still got some mileage left, but his body in itself has been beaten up over the years, and they really did well in telling that story. The Braun was just kind of dominating the whole way. Seth just seemed like he was struggling to kind of keep up. There were some fantastic spots where there was like a Falcon Arrow counter that Braun did. Like, I thought that was absolutely incredible. That spear pedigree thing that Triple H, Seth Rollins does, where he reverses spear into pedigree. There was a lot of back and forth, a lot of counters, and a lot of hard hitting competition. And I just think, like, this isn't over between the two. Braun gets a massive win, huge win, probably the biggest win of his career, where he bested Seth without any kind of shenanigans going on or anything. Like, he just, yeah, it worked really well. Seth hasn't really, Seth hasn't quite changed his character. He's still that person, but he's obviously playing it in a revenge way, so people are on side. There's going to be more to come for these two. I don't think it's over, but they open up the show and they set the bar very high. And I thought their match was perfect. A lot of people crapped on Seth and some of the things he messed up on. Like, so what? Who cares? He's done a lot of these moves at other times, and he's been fine. If he kept consistently messing up, then yeah, fair enough. But they recovered well. It looked good, and he is capable. And if he has to, even he said on the post show, if he has to change his moveset, he will. But he can still. He's got that go in him. I just think Seth for me is just one of the best who've been holding it down consistently for years and years. We move on to Trick versus Sammy. Sammy really, again, get rid of all the gingerbread man stuff. These two, top tier talent, top tier athletes, who've got a lot of mileage in them. Sammy really embraced that kind of heel role, and trying to really get under Trick's skin. Like, he starts off like goes straight after Trick as the match barely even begun, barely even rang. They really, he fought like a heel. He fought dirty. He fought nasty. He got in his face. He wasn't taking any crap. And then when little Yachty was getting involved, Sammy was really messing him up, like to the point where he took him out and then went back and got some more. Like, he didn't leave him alone. And I've got a lot of respect for little Yachty. I've heard a lot. He seems to be different from some of these celebrity wrestlers that come in, and that he is a fan and he knows how the business works and wants to help benefit, which I think is great. I just, again, thought this match was much better than WrestleMania. They had time. This is what I loved, and I was going to get to it later, but I'm hoping TKO, whoever is in charge of it, actually listened and giving these matches time. Braun and Steph had time. Trick versus a lot of the matches had time, and it made the difference. It can slow things down. With WrestleMania, it felt like everything was going a million miles per hour, and it's exciting. Things go really quick, and then before you can, as you're getting invested, the match is over. I don't want that. I want to sit and I want to watch and I want to be invested. You built up this story between two people that hate each other, or two people that are competing, or they respect each other, whatever the story is you're telling. Let them finish it in the ring. Let them have it and finish that story, or continue that story in the ring, but give them that time to do so. And Trick and Sammy got that, and I think it felt more like an end as opposed to Mania, whereas a continuation. This felt like the end of their thing now. So be great to see what Trick does next, particularly what Sammy. I think maybe Sammy needs to come away from TV for a little bit because he's just been on a lot. Not sure what else he'd do after, but yeah, I think these two performed and really showed out. Next match was Danhausen and surprise teammate versus Kit and Miz. I was thrilled. Like, it was so hyped that who it was going to be. Was it going to be Jelly Roll? Was it going to be Pat McAfee? Was it going to be Punk? There was so much going around. People just like, and this is what people do. They hype themselves up and then get disappointed when it's not what they want. Like, you create that narrative, and we all do it. You create the narrative in your head. You go, oh, wasn't that? Oh, I'm disappointed. And it's a silly way to be because it's not fair on the performers and the writers and all that stuff. Anyway, we get it finally. The reveal. I was so thrilled it wasn't Jelly Roll because I'm certain it was. Instead, we get a clone of Danhausen, but he messed up because he's not a scientist. He's not a scientist, guys. Then it messed up, and we got a little mini Hausen, which, again, Wade Barrett. Wade Barrett just has this beef with like small people. I just think it's so funny, and he properly like just gets really angry around all those things, and I just think he sells that frustration so well. But Minihausen obviously I think he's a lucha. He's a lucha from AAA or something. He's absolutely fantastic. He crushed, and it wasn't just like a silly he's killing. He was flawless in taking down Miz and Kit. I thought he was fantastic. I can't remember I don't know what his actual name is, but he was absolutely brilliant. And there were a lot of good spots. It was supposed to be that kind of comedy match, but there were some good spots there. Kit Wilson fighting in Pearl Necklace always makes me laugh. I just think it's the funniest thing. The visual of it, what it actually is, what we think it is, it's very, very funny. And he was selling, and again, Kit is doing great work. He was selling for Minihausen like his life depended on it. He was taking some brutal bumps. I just thought he was that the interactions there were great, and then the way they sell Danhausen, if he does like basic moves like a atomic drop and German suplex, like, oh my god, it's amazing. Again, that silliness fits his character, it fits his persona, it makes sense. There's a logic to his ridiculousness, and that was always when it's hilarious. Even when he dropped an oh shit, like when the Minihausen came out, It was perfect. He didn't have to say it loud. You could see it clear as day that that's what he was saying. It was just so funny. And then so we have the there's the match going on. Kit Wilson's kind of he goes up to the clone machine, like smacks it around and stuff, and ends up like shoves Minihausen back in there. And lo and behold, because it's a cloning machine, a bunch of Minihausens come out. And then they take over the ring. They start beating up Kit. They terrorize Wade Barrett. And like it was just very, very funny stuff. And then I love when like Minihausen was going to do the curse to Kit Wilson. Kit Wilson help a mirror. Again, it's stupid and it's silly, but the logic of it makes perfect sense. He cursed himself. And then yeah, it was just very funny. And then in the end we get Miz. The curse is real because Miz can't use the fire extinguisher, tries to use it, ends up using it himself. Danhausen gets the win. Like it was just a whole barrel of nonsense, but just very entertaining, very, very fun. And I think it works very well for Danhausen's thing right now. So move on to match of the night, match of well, I'm not going to say but God, it's up there. Asuka versus Io, and I was very excited about this match. These two are two of the best performers in the world. Io Sky has she doesn't get talked about enough as one of the best of all time, and she's easily up there. Even Asuka's, I would say the same. Asuka's revolutionary for the women's division. Fans were obviously going to start calling for Kairi immediately. If it was me fantasy booking, Kairi would have come out and they had a moment with the two at the end and then said her goodbyes. But there's business side to that, and we don't always get what we want. The match was delivered as it should and as I expected. In that they were given lengthy time, and given that time, they were able to perform absolute magic. So hard hitting. Both of them really sold how exhausted they were, how much they care about each other. They didn't hold back. They were just going counter for counter the whole match as well. Like it was just executed perfectly, and I didn't know who would win. That which is great. I couldn't anticipate. I suspected Io would, but there were times when I didn't know. I just thought the two they just work perfectly together, and I think they easily match of the night for those two. What I loved was the and I had a feeling this. I don't know why in my head at the time I had a feeling it's going to happen. Like, so why don't people just block the mist? And then Io, there was a mist spot where Asuka was going to hit Io with the mist, and she blocked it with like a notepad, which I thought was great. Then they competed in the ring a bit more, and Io took the win. I just thought a fucking absolutely fantastic match, like so good. And then we had that ending segment which people are still unsure about with Asuka, where Asuka and Io bows to Asuka. Asuka embraces her, gives her a big hug. They share this special moment where they're both emotional, and you think, is Asuka retiring? Like, I think she's in her 40s, her mid 40s, mid to late 40s. Is she going to retire? Is she going to be a part timer? Like, what's happening? But it was such a beautiful moment, which felt authentic and genuine. And I was like, yeah, getting a bit teary at that before. I just think they worked so well, and that whole thing was just perfect. Following that match, we had John Cena come out for his announcement. Now, I thought it'd be about this club, whatever it is, Club WWE thing. I was wrong. I don't know if that was the plan or they swerved from it, but John Cena put out the John Cena Classic, which will be NXT versus main roster competitors. I again, I've seen a lot of people unsure about this or feel like it's a bit thrown together, whether it puts the new generation and the current generation together, and the fans will decide who gets the new champion that's been created, and who will be the one that prospers from it. It does. I can see why people think it's a bit thrown together. However, I quite like it. That showcase thing he did before on his retirement match. That's what you need to do. You need to highlight the new and the old, and the new and the current. I think it'll be really fun, and how they play it. We'll get nice insights from NXT people. I think it will work really well. So it's quite nice to see that announcement come out of Cena. Main event time was Jacob versus Roman. I thought it was really nice how Jacob came out with that his flower Ulafala necklace thing made by Haku's daughter. I thought it was a nice touch. Jacob coming out super aggressive against Roman. That he was fighting for his life. He's fighting for how he say he will, like for the that's a really bad sentence. He's fighting for the he's saying he's fighting for his family, he's fighting for his livelihood, and he's showing that in how he's competing against Roman. He does not care. He's just crushing Roman. He's going after him with full on aggression. Like it's again, it makes sense for the story he's trying to tell. Um, I would say that, and again, there's a lot of kind of cool spots there. Jacob's moonsault, sorry, Tiffy, I think is the prettiest moonsault. It's just flawless, and the size of the guy and the way he moves, like it's just fits. I doubt he was a gymnast, but gee, like how he can pull that off is just out of this world. Um, but you know, we had a lot of back and forth. As I said, Roman ends up kind of getting a dirty win, gets a kind of dirty finish on there where he taking off the turnbuckle, using that. That's how he kind of picks up the win on Jacob, which was like, I wasn't sure how I felt about it until after. So where we go after the match, Jacob just unleashes on him. Rightfully, he lost it. You know, he felt like he was screwed out of the match. It seemed like Jacob could have easily won this match, and it was just like, yeah, he just kind of fully unloaded on him, which I just thought was perfect. I just thought it worked so well for what he's trying to prove, what he's been saying. He's setting himself apart, as I've said before, from the normal bloodline stuff. He's taking that out, and it's him versus Roman. Um, and what I thought was a nice touch, and that was the Usos were nowhere to be seen, which is great. You know, I was saying about them being lapdogs; they weren't there. I don't know if that's Roman's doing, or if he was happy with that, or because Jacob said no. But it just, yeah, it worked perfectly with the Usos staying out of this. But yeah, all in all, it was a very good main event, and I just love the ending of Jacob standing tall at the end. So yeah, Backlash in itself, really good PLE, really really good. Coming off Mania where there was just a lot of rush. Like night two obviously was okay, it was much better, but there was a lot of rush. They slowed it down. The matches had time. The stories made sense. I just thought it was a really kind of, I don't know if it's TKO listening or people taking more control in WWE, but I think from start to finish, it all worked really well. Io Sky and Asuka were the match of the night for me, but yeah, every match delivered. Then the Raw after Backlash, we open up the show pretty hot straight away. Roman comes out, naturally quite pissed, saying he's going to make Jacob acknowledge him tonight. That's his whole thing. Before he can go out, Pierce has stopped him, saying, no, it's not going to happen. Jacob's not even here. But Roman's like, no, he's going to deal with it. Setting the tone for the show quite early, which I thought was quite nice. In terms of in-ring action, Heyman kicks off the show. Heyman and the Vision kick off Raw. Heyman kind of cementing that, they're done with Seth now. They finished with him. Braun Breaker proved all he needed to prove. That's it. They're done. Braun's kind of happy with that and to move on to different things. And then we get Theory and Logan taking shots at the Profits and Joe Hendry, which led to their match to a six-man Vision and versus Profits and Hendry. What I liked about this straight away was how arrogant Braun Breaker was wrestling. He's like, he's got this big win, and you can see in how he's performing, just really kind of taking the piss and winding people up, like not taking things serious, just knowing that he's on thinking he's on a different level, which I thought was, like, again, perfect for his character. Also, like Montez Ford was like, just seemed to be back at his best now. He got to a point where he was doing single stuff. He had that Elimination Chamber showing, and then it just fizzled. I was struggle with the Street Profits because they're so good. They get all this momentum, and then they fizzle. They can't seem to maintain, which I'm hoping will change now, because I feel like they've come back, return. They've come back, left, come back, return, like so many times. I'm really looking forward to them sustaining something when they're obviously going to go against Theory and Logan Paul. Sustaining that kind of momentum would be nice. So there was a back and forth in the match. Braun was gonna Braun kind of was gonna take out the Street Profits to get the win. Before he can kind of spear any of them, Rollins takes out Braun, which I thought, again, fantastic. Like, it's not over. Just because you say it's over doesn't mean it's over. And again, what I loved is Rollins is like desperately fighting to get back some allies. He knows the bed he's made, and he's acknowledged that he has caused a lot of the issues and has isolated himself from everyone, and he's now clawing back trying to get back some allies, which I think is just perfect. It bit him on the arse a little bit because it seemed like he kind of moved out of the way when Bron was going to spear him, and then Dawkins took the hit instead, and it just, there's that nice slow build to Rollins trying to kind of get some allies, get some friends, but it's going to keep biting him on the arse again because he just, he made his bed, he's got to sleep in it, sort of thing. So then we get Penta calling out Ethan Page, which I thought was some lovely stuff there. Ethan Page got the pin on Penta last week. IC title picture right now is looking really good. So, Page comes out saying, yeah, I'm going to challenge you at Saturday night's main event. Before anything can progress there, Rusev comes out and puts his name in the hat of competitors. And then, as predicted, because these four are in a little feud here, Javon comes out and does the same. It's working really well because Page and Rusev work well together. Javon and Penta, like the natural baby faces that work so well. All four, any of the four could run as IC champ and it would be prosperous and it would do well. You've got four people that can all feud together for a while. They're all interchangeable, and I think it all can work really well as long as it's done well. I imagine it will lead to another fatal four-way or some sort of thing like that. But that IC picture is looking really good right now. So following that, we had Rusev and Javon have a match. These two have had a few matches together, and they've got really beautiful chemistry, I find. They've got conflicting styles. They look very different. There's the experience factor. There's the age gap. But like Rusev's a big powerhouse, Javon's a high flyer. They work just so well together. Like Rusev just kept getting mad and just kept calling Javon a kid. And anytime he couldn't get the pin, he's like, oh, he's just a kid. He's just a kid. I think it's working. And Rusev's doing some good work here. It's always good to see him exposed. And then Javon gets like a massive win against Rusev, which I thought, yeah, that shocked me that was there. But I think he got a really big win. As I said, the IC title picture is just looking very good. With all the speculation of Asuka and if she retired or what's happening with her, we get her on Raw. She makes an appearance. We see a backstage segment with EO, and then Asuka appears, and it feels like she officially kind of handed the torch over to EO. She said, "I've been looking for someone to take over, and it's you." And then she, very symbolically walks out with the suitcase. I'm just like, "Are you gone? Is she gone forever?" I bloody hope not, because she's never shown any signs of not being anything but perfect. She's so good against everyone she competes against. I personally would love to see like another length of title run. I don't know if that's going to happen now, but yeah, seeing her kind of pass the torch to EO, I thought was fantastic. It's just, yeah, it's very, and the announcers kind of alluded to the fact that they don't really know what's going on with her either. So I don't know. I don't think we've seen the last of her. It feels like she deserves more of a send off, but yeah, I've got so much love for Asuka. We then had Brie and Paige kind of come out to the ring. Again, I'm quite enjoying these two as tag team. I've got my feelings about Brie and the Bellas. I again, trying to be positive. I just don't think she's very good. I don't think she ever has been the best. Nikki has always been better, I find, but I just think Brie is just not great on promos. I don't know. Anyway, in the air of positivity, we'll move on from that. But the Paige and Brie call out Judgment Day. They call out Raquel and Roxanne. Roxanne takes some personal shots at the two, calling it nostalgia tour. They then go at it. Livs makes a save and like gives Paige. Paige takes an incredible code breaker. Again, Paige is doing some wonderful work now. She's back such a short time, but she's doing some pretty well. She took a big hit from Nia last week. She got busted open, and she sold the code breaker like beautifully. So that again, tag team division is just looking really good. The next match we have Soul versus EO. Like I was really surprised when I saw this announced. I just thought, wow, those two, like we just get them on a Monday Night Raw. It was always going to be a breathtaking showcase of athleticism, high flying action, just aerial acrobatics with these two, and also hard hitting, which is what they both looked amazing. Soul really held her own up against EO. Like she again is being positioned similar to JC in a position of, this is the next big thing. This is someone who's going to be in a high prominent spot. She's good on the mic. She's got a great look. She can her move sets her apart. Like she's going to do amazing things. And again, as I said before, they got time. They had a lengthy match, so it gave time for fans to sit and enjoy and absorb what they're doing, to really take in the different styles they've got, see who they are as characters. There were quite a few "This is awesome" chants. and it really paid off, and it showcased them both, and very much I think, and I said before, I think Solwood is the future, but Io is the now. I think she should be the one who is, and I feel like she's getting in that position where she's leading things. Her stories make sense, and she's in prominent positions a lot of the time. And I enjoyed even the finish. Sol went for the Soul Snatcher, which is a great move to see. Io saw it coming, kind of held back, managed to get the pin. I thought it just all worked really well. And then there was that mutual respect between the two afterwards. I just think, yeah, Io cannot have a bad match with anyone. To me, she's one of the best wrestlers in the game right now. I think she's like in the top 10, if not top 5, all performers at the minute. They're consistently great and a fantastic worker. So next is the Oba Open Challenge. Um, this this made me laugh because Pierce came out. Oba was waiting for his opponent. Adam Pierce comes out before he can really even say anything. He's getting booed, and the way the way he sold the reaction made me laugh so much. Like it was like, what? Like I've not even said anything. He then said the thing that should have got him booed, which was which right when we were saying that nobody is taken over up, which I thought was a lovely touch. So no one's taken over up on the Open Challenge, so it's being cancelled. Which again, logistically, if you look at it from a business or a show, that makes sense, right? And it was very funny that then Noba just like, well, if no one wants to come, and again, it's so great. It's like who's of course who's going to go against the person who destroyed Brock Lesnar? No one's going to take up that challenge, right? Oba kind of marches out, grabs Los Garza, who had said like earlier in the show, they want an opportunity, and he literally carried them out, carrying one of them on his back while he's pulling the other along. Now, how this isn't a great look for that tag team because he essentially squashed them both and made them look like he did, and he did it because he's the guy who beat Brock, and he's supposed to be this ruler and this whatever. But those two are, and I'm deviating slightly, those two are fantastic talent. I particularly have always had a fondness for Angel Garza because he's got a look, he's got charisma, and he's got a great moveset and everything else. And I don't feel like he's ever had that opportunity. So again, if there was a tag team vision in the men's tag team vision they could go to, they could do well in that. But anyway, but the whole point of this was to make Oba look ridiculous, and he did. He's launching these two people around. I'm hoping, if already then he's not getting people, the idea is to have someone big where you can actually feud with until Roman or whoever he's going to compete with. I don't want them to take too long with him getting to Roman. I know they have to build to it slowly, but I would love if they just go like, you know what, we're going to shoot him to the moon. With less than a year, he's world champ in the main roster. I think that's what we need for him. The final match of the night, and they've been bigging it up all night, was Dom Mysterio versus OG El Grande for the AAA Mega Champion. And they really did well in hyping up the championship. Like, obviously, your casual fan, even your more experienced wrestling fans, not going to know a lot. I don't know a lot about great deal about AAA, so it's nice to see that history. I thought it worked really. It was really nice, and it gives a lot of build and a lot of confidence to that, and a lot of exposures to those titles and what they're doing in AAA. I thought it was really well. A great thing that happened early on. Dom's walking out with JD. Finn like wipes out JD straight away, which I loved, and it's great because that feud's still going, and Finn's trying to slowly and like shows what a coward Dom is because he didn't fight back. JD was taken out. It also left that kind of air of, oh wow, Dom could maybe lose this title. This is history making. Like AAA Mega Champ on Raw being defended, Dom could lose. So it was a nice kind of tease to that. Dom and OG Gable had again had a great. They've had a few matches. They had a really good match. Again, so hard hitting, really good back and forth. Like Chad Gable there was like a turnbuckle spot outside, was sort of absolutely brutal. Like they had some really good offense here. Naturally, it got interrupted by El Grande, Ludwig El Grande. Lot of shenanigans going on. Dom stills a win after Ludwig gets involved, building up to their match at AAA with the mask versus mask, keeps Dom safe, everything else. Like it's all really good. I'm hoping Finn might get Dom and get that title, and he can turn some AAA. I don't know. There's a lot that they can do there, but again, that interwoven stuff I think is working quite well for them. Final segment of the night, we get Roman, who is the acknowledgement ceremony. Roman called him out earlier in the night, called out Jacob earlier in the night, wanted Jacob to acknowledge him. Jay was trying his best to, when Jacob finally arrives, Jay's trying his best to stop Jacob and, try and reason with him. He gets a bit too in his face. Jacob takes him out, takes out Jimmy, gets in the ring, starts brawling with Roman. It's a good back and forth. And again, it's establishing Jacob's unhinged side where he just doesn't give a crap and he's going to take you out for his own needs. Roman gets the upper hand, lots of chair shots, really kind of takes it to Jacob. Jacob comes back, puts Roman through a table, gets him the Tongan death grip a few times, goes in the ring, stands with the title. He's looking absolutely beast. He's looking strong, looking unhinged. He's looking like, he could be the next champ. Nice, lovely bit at the end. Jacob, we think he's done, walks off. Well, I ain't done. Runs back, takes out Jimmy, Jay, and Roman. Takes all three of them out. The bloodline crushed through the barricade. Oh, I just thought it was so nice because in that moment he flipped the audience. The audience are still cheering Roman. I understand why they do. I am on Jacob's side personally, partly from my own bias where I don't want Roman to be champion, unless Oba takes off him, which I think will be great. But people were booing Jacob a lot of that segment until that spot, that last spot. Everyone was going mad. He took out all three, and then everyone was on Jacob's side, which I think they should be. I think people should be on Jacob's side. I think he's in the right here. He's doing what he needs to do. He's not buying into the bloodline stuff. I think he's just, he's where he needs to be and doing it for him and his people. So yeah, that whole segment I thought was absolutely great. So my final thoughts, where I usually do a bit of a ranty section, I don't have a lot. As I said, it's back in that positive era for me, in that positive cycle. There's some stuff I'd like to be seeing. There's some people I'd like to be seeing. We've got Carmelo, Ilya, who else? There's some other people that we just not seeing at the minute. And I even like Austin Theory and stuff, I wish he could be doing more. There's people on the roster that could be offering more that aren't really doing a lot. And I don't know, even with this open challenge, you could fit some more people in there where there could be competitive matches with Oba. I'd like to be seeing a bit more of that. But all in all, since SmackDown to Raw this last few weeks, I've been in a much better place with what's been produced. I think it's looking better. I'm hoping people are listening now in terms of giving length to the matches, to giving proper story telling to people. The one thing I do want to see is obviously more tag team stuff from the men's side, but I think that will come as we're getting more tag teams back with the profits and everything else. Yeah, I think much better week of wrestling. Really enjoyed it. And yeah, I'd like to know how everyone else felt and how you felt those shows have been recently. So yeah, any comments, please share them. Please get in touch. If anybody would like to be on the show, please let me know. I'd love to talk wrestling with you. I've always got time for that. Follow, all that good stuff. Been a good week in wrestling. I've been Nathan. This has been The Clean Finish. See you next time.